Most of us web developers are used to doing simple animations. Change the position of something, maybe the scale or the color. We typically don't think in terms of layout changes, like changing something from flex to grid, or just within flex change the flex direction. This is pretty much something you don't think is possible on the web, but motion makes it super easy. Alright, so check this example. We have 3 boxes here, and as you can see, they are wrapped in a flex parent. Now we have this justify content flipper action, and if we look, we literally have a flipper component, and all it does is whenever we click, it's going to change the state of flip from false to true and vice versa. So when I click on this button, the value of justify content is going to toggle between these 2 states. Let's click on flip. And yep, it works. It has changed the justify content to flex start. Nothing special up to this point. Now, notice that our divs are already motion components, and I can add one property, layout, to organize layout animations. Check this out. Let's take the yellow box here, and I will simply add a layout prop. Nothing else. And now, when I flip the toggle again, watch this yellow box. Aha! It's animating into its next position. Let's also add the layout prop to the other 2. And now all 3 boxes should animate into position. That is much, much cooler. You might not notice because they're just moving like if we were translate X-ing them, but switching the flex property justify content is not an easy feat. Let's make it a little bit more obvious by changing the flex direction. So instead of justify content, we are going to go with flex direction, and we want to go between column and row. That should be already a little bit more interesting. Are you ready? Let's hit flip, and hey, this is super cool. You can see that our boxes are seamlessly animating between row and column, which is not something that's easy to do. Let's take it up another level by trying to animate between flex and grid with another example. Okay, I won't cover all the code for this one because a lot of it is irrelevant, but what I want you to focus on is we have this stacked list here, and we can toggle between a grid view or a list view. You can see we have a view piece of state that can be list or grid, and that's what this button is toggling between. And then the wrapping div here is going to check if the view state is grid. If it is, it's going to set a 3-column grid, and if not, it's going to set display to flex and stack the elements with flex direction column. So when the value of view changes from grid to flex, this is what happens. Once again, the elements just jump into the new position, and fair enough, that makes sense because we're changing from grid to flex, which is quite a drastic change. And well, this is where the motion magic happens. You can see here we have a motion.div output for each item in our colors array. Again, don't worry about any of that. But what I want to do here is just add the layout prop once again. And this is basically going to animate the layout between flex and grid. Check this out. Are you prepared for this? Because this is pretty cool. Ready? Boom. Let's do it again and again and again and again, again. You can see we can even toggle in between the states and it intercepts it perfectly. How cool is that? Honestly, take a second or even maybe a minute to appreciate how amazing that is. By the way, like with anything in motion, we could add a transition property and set that to a type of spring. And yeah, let's go with that, but make the damping lower so it's a bit more drastic. And so as you can imagine, this is going to drastically change the way that the animation occurs. All right, let's get rid of that transition. And I'm going to comment out the layout prop for a second because I want to show you one more thing. Whenever the view is set to grid, we can click on any of these cards and they will take up 3 columns width. So if I click on the pink one, it becomes 3 columns. If I do the blue one or the teal one, you get the idea. The way that works is in the style attribute here, we check if there is the active state, which is another piece of state we have on this little app. And you can see that when we click on an element, it will set this element to active. Anyway, if it is active, we are going to go grid column span 3. And then if I click on it again, it goes back to span 1, I guess. And so once again, this is something that is no problem whatsoever for motion. If we add the layout prop, whenever we click on one of these elements, it's going to animate really nicely into position, and every element knows what to do based on what's happening on the page. No matter how fast you go with it, it's going to always be able to work out what to do. I don't know about you, but I find this very, very cool.